Now tonight, these two, I'm going through chapter 10 and chapter 11. There are a lot of names in these things. So what I did was I made a video for the first part of 10, and then I'll go over some of the verses and then go over the rest of the verses. Then 11, I had another video, and then I'll go through those verses. Then it's another video, and I'll go through those verses. So there's 3 videos tonight. The first one I think you've seen already, which is the girl just talking, Then the second one is a prophet as he's walking through a village and he's talking. And then the third one is a girl flying, and she's talking because she's supposed to be talking about all the villages. So she's flying over all the villages and talking about them. So anyway, pardon me.
Are we going to get popcorn or Dr. Pepper?
The snack bar is not open. Okay. So anyway, so we'll start off with the first video, and then we'll talk about it.
Now those who placed their seal on the document were Nehemiah, the governor, the son of Hakaliah, and Zedekiah, Sariah, Azariah, Jeremiah, Pashur, Amariah, Malchijah, Hattush, Shebaniah, Malach, Harim, Meremoth, Obadiah, Daniel, Ginathan, Baruch, Meshullam, Abijah, Mijamin, Maaziah, Bilgai, and Shemaiah. These were the priests. The Levites, Jeshua the son of Azaniah, Binnui of the sons of Henadad, and Kadmiel, their brethren, Shebaniah, Hodijah, Kelita, Peliah, Hanan, Micha, Rehob, Hashabiah, Zachar, Sherebiah, Shebaniah, Hodijah, Bani, and Beninu. The leaders of the people, Parosh, Pahath Moab, Elam, Zatu, Bani, Buni, Azgad, Bebai, Adonijah, Bigvai, Adin, Ater, Hezekiah, Azar, Hodijah, Hashem, Bezai, Harif, Anathoth, Nebai, Magpiesh, Meshullam, Hezir, Meshezabel, Zadok, Jedua, Peletiah, Hanan, Anaiah, Hoshea, Hananiah, Hashub, Halohesh, Pilha, Shobek, Rehum, Hashabna, Masaiah, Ahijah, Hanan, Anan, Maluch, Harim, and Bana.
We'll see what the critics say. We'll see what the critics say about the next couple. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Well, anyway, let me go through these. The verse 1. I'm going to go through each verse and just say a little bit about it, and so you could look at it in your Bible and you could follow along on that, because I'm not going to repeat all these names. Okay. So the first verse. Nehemiah's name is first, so he doesn't ask his people to do anything that he isn't willing to sign himself. So he signed his own name to it, and that's called accountability. And it also says that they placed their seal. And what that means, in the Near East, that meant the seal was a legal signature. And so it meant that I am bound by these terms. So they were signing a legal document. Okay, verse 2. Now those 3 people, those are priests. And they represent the high priestly family. It shows the old guard. These are the older priest. And the new vision, this new vision that Nehemiah has, it aligned with the older ones too. So they're all combined. And verse 3, the name Pashur was a name associated with the opposition to Jeremiah years earlier. So now we see Pashur signing a covenant for God. So it shows God can redeem the family name. Your past doesn't have to dictate your signature today. So you can change. People can change. God is a God of second chances and third chances and fourth chances. Okay, verse 4. Okay, it talks. It has. You see the name Daniel in there, and it's a family name. It's not the actual Daniel, and so it was a head of the family. His name Daniel, and it signals a standard of excellence. And the other guy, Barak, means blessed. You are never more blessed when you're legally bound to the will of the Lord, with the will of God. Now, verse 7 lists 21 priestly, or 7 and 8 lists 21 priestly houses represent the ecclesiastical foundation. They were setting the spiritual climate of the city. And did I go to verse 9 yet? No? Okay, verse 9. Okay, verse 9. These were the facilitators, the more Levites. These are the ones that helped the people understand the sense of the word. They were the teachers. Verse 10. Okay, this one name here is Kalita. That means maimed or dwarf. So in the kingdom of God, it doesn't make any difference what your physical capacity is. God could always use you in some way, and you can serve the Lord no matter what your physical or social limitations are. In fact, if you're even bound to bed and you can't even get out of bed, you can still pray. And prayer is very important. Prayer is how God moves. Now, verse 11, 12, and 13, you'll notice that there are 3 men in each group. So there's 3 men or 3 teams of 3 men. So these men function in teams. And so this is a redundant system. So if one fails, the other 2 carry the load. So it's a team ministry. It's just like, well, not just like, but it's sort of like Josh and Dave and me, where we're a team and we're helping our pastor. And so it's 3 people taking the place of 1 because he's so brilliant and we want him back. We want him. So we're filling in for him is what we're doing. Okay, 14. This was the business class. These people were the heads of household, represented a group that came out of a background of compromise. Some of them came out of Moab, but they're now all in for Jerusalem. And 15 is Bigvaya was a massive family. He had 2,000 members. When he signed, he wasn't signing just for himself. He was moving a whole clan in. And the real leadership will influence a whole lineage. Verse 17, there's Hezekiah, but that's not the king Hezekiah. That was just another person. And it means the Lord strengthens. By signing, he acknowledged that he can't keep the law in his own strength. He needs the enabling grace of God. And in 18 and 19, Anathoth was the hometown of Jeremiah. These men were learning from history, so they wouldn't have to repeat history. And like I said before, after the Babylonian exile, after they returned, they never went back to idolatry. And in a few verses, it'll explain why they never went back to idolatry. Okay, verse 20. Now the middle name there, that Mishullam, he was the guy back in chapter 3 that was fixing a wall. And he fixed his part of the wall, and then he went over to help somebody else fix their part. Then he went over here to help. So he was a real, go-getter. He didn't just do the work and then drift away. He did the work and stayed to ensure the spiritual life of the city was strong. So not only did he make the stone wall strong, he wanted to make it spiritually strong too. Okay, the last verses are 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. These are the end of the names. And the different names mean different things. Every name is a life. Every life is a vocation. Halashish was a whisperer, and I don't know what he did, and then Benaiah was the son of affliction. But I don't know what the whisperer means. I don't know if he talked to animals or he was quiet. He was a quiet person. He wasn't Italian. He was a quiet person. Okay, so now let's go to 28. Now I'll read 28. Now the rest of the people, the priests, the Levites, the gatekeepers, the singers, the Nethinim, and those who had separated themselves from the peoples of the land to the law of God, their wives, their sons, and their daughters, and everyone who had knowledge and understanding. Okay, it wasn't just everyone, it was everybody that separated themselves and those who had understanding. This included the wives and the children. God's covenant isn't just for the theologians, it's for everybody. Now, to help keep people on track, the people, as they separated themselves from the world, and that helped keep them on track. That helped them keep them on track to worshiping the Lord and keeping the law. And that's why you need to keep coming to church, because you need to separate yourself from the world. And when you come to church, you're among people that are also separated, that are fellow believers, and you need that to build yourself up. You need to talk to people that of like-mindedness, and to help build you up. Okay, verse 29. These joined hand with their brethren, their nobles that entered into a curse and an oath to walk in God's law, which was given by Moses, the servant of God, and to observe and do all the commandments of the Lord and his ordinances and statutes. So these ones, they entered into it was a curse and a blessing. And so they were worshiping God. They just said, okay, we're giving all of ourselves to you. And if we fail to do this, we're going to be cursed. And if we continue to do it, then we're going to be blessed. And that's what they were doing. So it was serious. I mean, they're putting a curse on themselves from God, that if I break this, let the consequences fall on me. And so all these people that have been signing all this stuff, I mean, they're dead serious. And there was consequences because they signed a legal document, and they also signed, it was a spiritual document to God. And so they're putting a curse on themselves that they're promising to fulfill the law. They're promising to be true to God. And they didn't pick and choose. They committed to all the commandments. This is all the commandments. And so that you're not allowed to go buffet style and pick and choose verses that you like. You got to take the whole content of God, the whole Bible. What do they call that? Was some place. I think it was Foursquare Church talked about that. That was the whole gospel, everything. I never went to Foursquare, but I went to Assemblies of God, which is sort of, But anyway, let's move on. Verse 30. We would not give our daughters as wives to the people of the land, nor take their daughters for our sons. Okay, this isn't about race, it's about faith. It's an unequally yoked principle. If you marry the world, the children will speak of the world. They would live in the world. They would turn away. And so this is one reason why they never went back into idolatry, because before what they would do is they'd go into the land and then they would marry, the whoever was there, whatever people were left, and their daughters would marry the guys and their sons would marry the girls, and then it started getting corrupt, and then they would adopt the different idols of the people's land. So now they're promising that they will not give their daughters as wives to the people of the land, and or take daughters for their sons. And so this is another thing that kept them. They had an oath, which was a curse and a blessing, and they also separated themselves from the world and swore not to have their sons and their daughters be given to unequally yoked people. It's a principle that's still, I don't know if I can get in trouble for that. It's a principle that's still, today it's good, that about being unequally yoked. And if a Christian marries a non-Christian, it makes it harder, If you're both of like faith, then, God will bless the union, and you'll strive together. Sometimes, sometimes two people that aren't saved get married, and then they get saved later. But I'm just saying that you should try to look for, if you're a Christian, try to look for a Christian mate. But it doesn't always work that way. But you have to follow how the Lord leads, because the Lord knows what's going to happen. So. Okay, verse 31. If the peoples of the land brought wares or any grain to sell on the Sabbath day, we would not buy from them on the Sabbath, nor on a holy day. We would forego the seventh year produce and the exacting of every debt. Okay, so this is hitting the commercial sector now. The people of the land didn't care if there was a Sabbath or not a Sabbath, so they would bring their stuff. Well, they closed the doors and said, no, on the Sabbath day, we're not going to do any business. So that was another way that separated them from the people. Also, the 7-year release is the Shemitah. And what they're supposed to do is, and they failed to do it in the past, is what they're supposed to do is every 7 years let the land lay fallow, I think it's pronounced fallow, and they weren't supposed to grow anything. And then that helped the land get more nutrients and stuff like that. And so they're promising now that they are going to do this. And also they're saying that God's our provider, and he's going to provide in that 1 year. And so he's going to give abundantly on the 6 years, so they have enough for the 7th year. And I don't know if this is related or not, but I noticed this on tithing, is when you tithe, the money goes farther. And it's just weird how that happens. Like in fact, it's the first of the month, and I do my bills every first because that's when I get paid by the government. And I was doing the bills. I got everything paid off, and I said, I looked at the thing and I said, I couldn't figure out how come I had this much money left over, But And if I wouldn't have tithed, believe me, that money wouldn't be there. My car would break down, something would happen, the roof would collapse, something would happen, and I'd have to spend all this money, and I wouldn't have it. So God does bless you. I think I told you about this before when I forget where I was. I think I was either in Georgia or Florida, I think. But there was a big storm around here. And where my place is, there's a huge tree. It's the biggest tree in the whole place, the whole mobile home park. Big giant tree. Well, anyway, one of the limbs broke off right on the top of my place. And the wind blew it. It came down and the wind blew it off the thing. It never hit. And the lady next door says, I watched it, and it looked like it was coming straight down, and all of a sudden it just blew off to the side. So, I mean, the Lord blesses you in little ways like that, where if you're faithful to Him. So, anyway, that's my little tidbit. Okay, verse 32 and 33. Also, we made ordinances for ourselves to exact from ourselves yearly 1/3 of a shekel for the service of the house of our Lord, and for showbread and the regular grain offering and the regular burnt offering of the Sabbath, the new moons, the set feasts, the holy things, for the sin offerings, to make atonement for Israel for all the work of the house of God. So they were taxing themselves. There was a self-tax. And they were giving their money, they were giving their grain, they were giving the best of everything, right off the top. And you're supposed to give the first fruits. Okay, when I did my bills this morning, the first thing I do is take off the tithe. That's the first thing I do. Before I do any other bills, I do the tithe first, because that's supposed to be your first fruits. The only thing I don't like is that my bank says bill pay. It's not a bill, but that's what it says on there. But every time it irks me where I'm giving the offering, it's like it says bill pay. I said, it's not a bill to the Lord, it's an offering to the Lord. So, but anyway, but that's Wells Fargo, so I can't stop that. So they're giving all the offerings to the Lord. Okay, verse 34. We cast lots among the priests and the Levites, the people, for the wood offering, to bring it to the house of our God, according to our fathers' houses, at the appointed times, year by year, to burn on the altar of the Lord our God, as is written to the law. Okay, someone had to chop the wood for the fires, and what they did was they gave the priest a wood offering, and so that they could keep their place warm, and so it's not a glamorous offering. It's an unseen service. It's a maintenance ministry. It's like, I don't know if you know that Dennis prepares the juice and the bread for communion, but he does it in the back, and nobody sees him. He does it in the back all by himself, and then we just bring it out here. And so that's a maintenance service. He does that for the Lord, and it's a maintenance service. So there's a lot of things people do that you don't even know about, and but the Lord will bless that later. There'll be crowns. I don't know what kind of crown it is for maintenance, but he'll be a crown of some sort. A what? A wooden crown. Okay, verses 35 and 36. And we made ordinances to bring the first fruits of our ground and the first fruits of all the trees year by year to the house of the Lord, to bring the firstborn of our sons and our cattle, as it is written in the law, and the firstborns of our herds and our flocks to the house of our God, to the priests and who minister in the house of our God. So it says they're bringing the first fruits of the ground, the first fruits of the trees, the first fruits of the cattle, And it also says we bring our firstborn of our sons. Now, that's not meaning that they're bringing their firstborn sons to be sacrificed. That means they're bringing their firstborn sons to be dedicated to the Lord. So God wants your first fruits. He doesn't want leftovers. You give him the first and the best. If God has your first, he has your heart. And in fact, there's a thing where I watch some crime shows sometime, and they always say, follow the money. And because you follow the money, you'll find out the source of things. Well, if you follow the money to see where your heart is, if you're giving to the Lord, your heart is for the Lord. So you can follow the money and see where it goes. Okay, verse 37. To bring the first fruits of our dough, of our offering, and it's not talking about money. That's bread and stuff. Our offerings, that's money. The fruits from all kinds of trees, the new wine, oil to the priest, to the storerooms of the house of our God, and to bring the tithes of our land to the Levites, for the Levites should receive tithes from in all our farming communities. The tribe of Levite, they depended on, the priests depended on the people to give these offerings to the Lord. And then they took a portion of it. And so it was a supply chain for the ministry. The Levites were full-time workers, and they needed a tithe of the land to survive. And the priests and sons of Aaron shall be with the Levites when the Levites receive tithes. And the Levites shall bring 1/10 of the tithes to the house of our God, to the rooms of the storehouse. So now you see a principle that, okay, you tithe, and then your tithe goes to the church. Now, God bless you. In the Southern Baptist Church, the way we did it in the Southern Baptist Church was any tithe that comes in, 1/10 of it goes to missions. And that's what they would do. 1/10 of it went to missions. And then the rest of it was with whatever, the building maintenance, the pastor's pay, and all that stuff. And so the church, even the church tithes. And so it just keeps going like that. You give the 10th, the pastor gives the 10th, the church gives the 10th, like that. So everybody's giving to the Lord. Nobody's exempt. And it's an economy of grace. But that was interesting. When I was in the Southern Baptist Church, that's what they did. They tithed to the missions. They were really big on missions anyway. But they would tithe to the missions. Okay, verse 39 is the last verse in chapter 10. For the children of Israel and the children of Levi shall bring the offering of the grain and the new wine and the oil to the storerooms where the articles of the sanctuary are, where the priests who minister and to the gatekeepers and the singers are, and will not neglect the house of our God. They will not neglect the house of our God. So how do we neglect the house of God today? By being absent, by not coming to church, by being indifferent, by being unsupportive. These people understood that if the center, the house of the God, doesn't hold, the wall's going to be useless. So that's what they're doing. They're not neglecting the house of God. So what this chapter was talking about was that they committed to be separate by marriage, sanctified by the Sabbath, and support by giving. And so that's what this chapter emphasis was. Now, we're going to do chapter 11, and I have another video for chapter 11. And this will cover the first 24 verses of the chapter, and then we'll go over them.
those of the people dwelt at Jerusalem. The rest of the people cast lots to bring one out of 10 to dwell in Jerusalem, the holy city, and 9/10 were to dwell in other cities. And the people blessed all the men who willingly offered themselves to dwell at Jerusalem. These are the heads of the province who dwelt in Jerusalem. But in the cities of Judah, everyone dwelt in his own possession in their cities: Israelites, priests, Levites, Nethinim, and descendants of Solomon's servants. Also in Jerusalem dwelt some of the children of Judah and of the children of Benjamin. The children of Judah: Athaiah, the son of Uzziah, the son of Zechariah, the son of Amariah, the son of Shephatiah, the son of Mahalalel, of the children of Perez, and Maaseiah, the son of Baruch, the son of Kol-Hoseh, the son of Haziah, the son of Adiah, the son of Joiarib, the son of Zechariah, the son of Shiloni. All the sons of Perez who dwelt at Jerusalem were 468 valiant men. And these are the sons of Benjamin: Salu, the son of Meshullam, the son of Joed, the son of Pedaiah, the son of Koliah, the son of Maaseiah, the son of Ithiel, the son of Jeshiah, and after him Gabai and Salai. Of the priests, Jediah, the son of Joiarib, and Jachin, Sariah, the son of Hilkiah, the son of Meshullam, the son of Zadok, the son of Merioth, the son of Ahitub, was the leader of the house of God. Their brethren who did the work of the house were 822, and Adiah the son of Jeroham, the son of Pelaliah, the son of Amzi, the son of Zechariah, the son of Pashur, the son of Malchijah, and his brethren, heads of the fathers' houses, were 242, and Amashai the son of Azarel, the son of Achzai, the son of Meshillemoth, the son of Immer, and their brethren, mighty men of valor, were 128. Their overseer was Zabdiel, the son of one of the great men. Also of the Levites, Shemaiah the son of Hashub, the son of Azrikam, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Buni. Shabbathai and Jozabad, of the heads of the Levites, had the oversight of the business outside of the house of God. Mattaniah, the son of Micah, the son of Zabdi, the son of Asaph, the leader who began the thanksgiving with prayer. Bakbukiah, the second among his brethren, and Abda, the son of Shammua, the son of Galal, the son of Jeduthun. All the Levites in the holy city were 284. Moreover, the gatekeepers, Akub, Talmon, and their brethren who kept the gates were 172. And the rest of Israel, of the priests and Levites, were in all the cities of Judah, everyone in his inheritance. But the Nethinim dwelt in Ophel, and Ziha and Gishpa were over the Nethinim. Also the overseer of the Levites at Jerusalem was Uzzi the son of Bani, the son of Hashabiah, the son of Mattaniah, the son of Micha, of the sons of Asaph, the singers in charge of the service of the house of God. For it was the king's command concerning them that a certain portion should be for the singers, a quota day by day. Pethahiah the son of Meshezabel, of the children of Zerah the son of Judah, was the king's deputy in all matters concerning the people.
Okay. So anyway, that was one section that had a lot of names and stuff. So let's go over the verses. Okay, verse 1. They're talking about the leaders of the people that dwelt in Jerusalem, and this was a human tithe. And what they did was they picked 1 out of 10 to dwell in Jerusalem. Most of the people lived out in villages and stuff, and they all came in to help build a wall. And then they all wanted to go back to their to the villages. But Nehemiah understood that for Jerusalem to be a holy city, it had to be a living city. So 1 out of 10 people, first they asked for volunteers to go in there. But then they have to start picking people. Notice the terminology. It says the holy city. This is the first time Jerusalem is explicitly called the holy city, as being set apart specifically for a prophetic purpose. And the people blessed all the men who were willingly offered themselves to dwell in Jerusalem. So in addition to a draft, there were those who willingly offered themselves to stay in Jerusalem. To move to Jerusalem meant leaving your farm, leaving your comfort, becoming a primary target for the enemies of Jerusalem, because that's where they were going to attack. And the people blessed them because they knew it was a sacrifice. And God always honors the volunteers. And so there was a draft, and then there was people that were willing to go. It's like when I was, when the war was going on, the Vietnam War was going on, I volunteered to go into the Navy. And so I went down to the recruiting place, and I took my test. I forget what they call it, AFAB test or something, but I took the test, took the physical, and then I was on a waiting list because I wanted to go into submarines because my father was in submarines in World War II, and so I wanted to go into submarines too. And so I was on a waiting list, 2-year waiting list. And then I got my draft notice, and so I went down to the draft, and I showed him my papers. I said, hey, I'm signed up for the Navy already. I wish I would have known now what I knew then, because they just took the papers and threw them in the garbage and said, you're going in the Army. I mean, that was illegal. But that's how I wound up in the Army instead of the Navy. So there was volunteers. They willingly volunteered themselves, and there were people that were drafted. 1/10 were drafted. Okay, verse 3. Now these are the heads of the province who dwelt in Jerusalem. Okay, Nehemiah is documenting the pioneers. These were the people who stayed in their possessions. They left their possessions, their comfort, and they moved to the mission, which was Jerusalem. And so they left their homes, they left their farms, and they came and lived in Jerusalem. Because, it had to be a living city. It wouldn't have been a good place to live, or a good place if there was just walls and buildings and nobody living there. Okay, in verse 4, it talked about the heritage. It mentioned a guy in the children of Judah, and a guy named Athaiah, and then it goes through his lineage, and that's a royal line. If you trace the genealogy, you're looking at a royal line. That's a royal line. These are the aristocrats of faith, taking their place in the city of the king. And so these are descendants from the king. Uzziah was a king, and so this was the royal line, and they were coming to dwell in Jerusalem. Now, verse 6 talks about the valiant men, and in Hebrew that's Ashia Kaya. Those are men of force, capability, and virtue. So God doesn't just need warm bodies, he needs valiant hearts. He needs people that are capable and virtuous. Now, verse 7 talks about the sons of Benjamin. Benjamin was the protector tribe. They were the ones who stayed in Judah when the kingdom split. They were the guardians of the gate. So they're the ones that stayed after Judah was taken away to Babylon. And verse 9 talks about Joel, the son. He was the overseer. And Nehemiah appoints an overseer. There's order, there's a mayor, there's a deputy mayor. God has an organization. And then this guy, Joel, was an overseer. And he sort of oversaw the whole operation. So God is a God of organization. Verse 10 and 11. These are the leaders of the house of God. You have the walls, but a house isn't functioning. The city has no soul. So these are the leaders of the house of God. Okay, verse 12. These were the workers. They weren't just theologians. These were the doers. They did the work of the house and the kingdom. Everyone had his workstation. And so in verse 12, these were the workers. Let's go down to verse 16. Now there was businesses outside of Jerusalem. And so the people mentioned here were the heads of the Levites, and they had oversight for the businesses outside of the house of God. They gathered supplies, they managed the properties, they interacted with the community. This is the administrative arm of the ministry, and these are the people that did the I don't know what you call it, talking to different people and doing things outside of the house of God. Okay, verse 17. Oh, this is the first guy mentioned there, Mattaniah. He was the director of praise, so he was the worship leader. And he's the one that began the thanksgiving. The prayer and thanksgiving were the atmosphere of the city. If you don't have somebody leaving thanksgiving, you'll eventually have everybody start complaining. So he would lead the worship and of thanksgiving to God and reminded the people that they should be thankful and so not letting, like Peter taking his eyes off the Lord and sinking in the water. They wanted to keep focused on God. So that's what he would do. Okay, verse 21 is talking about the Nethinim. And I thought these were the giants or something, but these are just temple servants. That's just a name for temple servants. And they lived in Ophel, and it was the high ground between the temple and the city of David. And so they were on call 24/7. These were the servants of the temple, and so they lived in between the city of David, which was down the bottom, and the temple, which was top and the top. And they lived in between that so that they were on call. And so whenever they needed somebody to do something, then they would call them and they would go do it. And so they were always available for work. They were the support staff. Yeah, they did everything, you know. Okay, the next verse talks about the singers, and they were in charge of the service in the house of God. And they were in charge of the service, the music. It wasn't just a warm-up for the sermon, it was service to the Lord. And so when the worship team is up here, that's being of service to the Lord. and you're worshiping, and when we clap, that's clapping to the Lord. It's not clapping for the performance. It's clapping to the Lord, giving praise to the Lord. Okay, now that king Artaxerxes, what he did was he set aside a fund for the singers, and that's interesting. It was for the king's command concerning a portion to be for the singers, and it was a quota day by day. And so it shows that even a non-Christian or a non-believer could inspire songs for God. There are people in the past. There's a guy named Norman Greenbaum, and in 1969 he wrote "Spirit in the Sky," and he was a non-believer. He was a non-Christian, but he wrote "Spirit in the Sky," and that was a nice song. U2, which is not a Christian group at all, they had a couple of songs. One was 40, which was based on Psalm 40, and Yahweh, which was a direct prayer to God. And they're not a Christian group, but they had a couple of Christian players in it. So I don't know if that had the influence, but they're not a Christian group, and yet they have worship songs. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, he wrote Jesus Met the Woman at the Well, and it was all about Jesus meeting the woman at the well. Now, this next one I'm going to get flack about, but there are two songs that I really love, and they're written by people that weren't exactly right with the Lord, okay? One was Shout to the Lord. That's a good song. And the other was What a Beautiful Name It Is. We even sing that in our church. They're good, solid Christian songs. They were written by Hillsong. Hillsong is a prosperity church. They're not they don't preach the gospel. They preach wealth and to be a Christian you have to be happy and wealthy and everything else. And but even them, they wrote two good songs, and those are good songs. I like the songs, and even Nebuchadnezzar wrote a chapter in the book of the Bible. And so God used Cyrus to bring the people of Israel back to Jerusalem. And so God can use even non-Christians or non-believers to help further his will. I was watching this one movie. I don't know if you guys, I like science fiction, so it was called Stargate Atlantis. And one episode, they're all like tough people, and they have good, strong minds. Well, this one guy, Mr. Woolsey, he's just a bureaucrat. And they were all captured. Well, anyway, they told him the plan. And so they tortured them, and he gave up the plan. Well, it wasn't really the plan. They just told him that so that they would the people would go in a false direction, and then they finally overcame him. And he says, "You tricked me. You tricked me." He says, "Anybody could be used for good." And so that's what it is. So anybody can be used. You can always serve as a bad example, I guess, but I don't know. Anyway. Okay, let's go to verse 24. This guy that they mentioned is Pathaiah, and he was I don't know how to pronounce this, ombudsman. I don't know how to pronounce that, but he was the king's agent. He made sure the imperial law and the divine law functioned without unnecessary friction. He made sure everything ran smooth. Okay, now the next verses, we're going to have another video. Now this one, what it is, it's a list of the villages and towns where the rest of the people dwelt. And so the first part was all about Jerusalem, and this one is about where all the other people are living. They spread to Hebron, to south of the Geba, north, and they traveled. Let's see, it mentions the valley of the craftsmen, Lod and Ono, the valley of the craftsmen. And Nehemiah wasn't just building a city, he was building a region. And he created a buffer zone of faithful communities all around Jerusalem. Okay, so we're ready for the next video.
The wind carries me home.
The people dwelling outside Jerusalem. And as for the villages with their fields, some of the children of Judah dwelt in Kirjath Arba, and its villages, Dibon and its villages, Jekabzeel and its villages, in Jeshua, Moladah, Beth Pelet, Hazar Shual, and Beersheba and its villages, in Ziklag and Mekona and its villages, in Rimmon, Zorah, Jarmuth, Zanoah, Adullam and their villages, in Lachish and its fields, in Azekah and its villages. They dwelt from Beersheba to the valley of Hinnom. Also the children of Benjamin from Geba dwelt in Michmash, Aijah, and Bethel, and their villages, in Anathoth, Nob, Ananiah, in Hazor, Ramah, Gittaim, in Hadid, Zeboim, Nebalot, in Lod, Ono, and the valley of craftsmen. Some of the Judean divisions of Levites were in Benjamin. Nice landing. Shalom, my friends.
Villages and all the different towns and all the people. Is it turned on yet? Okay. Anyway, it was all the different villages, so there's really no comment to make. It was just a buffer zone around Jerusalem, and he wanted, Christian believers in all the different things, the Jews and all the different ones, all surrounding there. So it was a buffer zone of faithful communities, and so that's what they set up all around Jerusalem. And anyway, that's it. It's getting close to the time, so we'll pray. It was fun.